DJ Event Planner will change the way you manage and run your business. Streamline all of your procedures and software into one easy-to-manage system. DJ Event Planner, the ultimate online planning tool.
We are here. We are back. We are making the magic that everyone likes to associate with Walt Disney because that's the kind of guys we are.
And I think my audio probably sounds better than John's today.
It probably does because I'm just running off a laptop. But yet tonight I've got earbuds in or earplugs in, so you guys aren't hearing the echo we were hearing last night.
Right. We are, well, I'm in Milwaukee. You're in Vegas.
I am in Vegas. I am
doing some different stuff, non-DJ related.
No, it isn't. Well, actually, and this is the bad part about being a DJ, is we're walking through. I'm down here for the hardware show, for those of you who aren't familiar with some of the other things I do. But we're down here, and I'm walking through an area, and there's a speaker up on a stage, as far as a person speaking on the stage. And they're running a line array type sound system. And wouldn't you know, Mr. Smart Guy here, just wanders over and starts looking at the back of the speakers to see what brand of line array speakers those are. I think I embarrass Lori when I do things like that.
Occupational hazard. Well, it's what you do, man.
Hey, exactly. I mean, it's just it looked like, truthfully, it looked like the RCF, the big ones from RCF, that were the column type.
Right.
But that's what it looked like, and it's like they sounded great. I mean, it's got dual 18s and then the column of whatever 6-inch driver. Sounded fabulous for speech, and I'm like, okay, why would you need dual 18s in this configuration? It made no sense to me.
Right. Yep, we all have our strong points. Sometimes it's hardware, sometimes it's audio. So
yeah.
Sometimes it's both. So that's where you come in.
And sometimes we're just confused and we walk around in circles. But hey, that was yesterday. Today's better than that.
Right.
So did you recover from last week?
I'm working on it. I feel like this has been the season that people like to throw hand grenades at me.
Yeah.
Assign things to me. I've just been busy. Leading up to the show, I was working on that last-minute wedding.
Yep.
And then I did the show. And for the show, for those of you who don't know, I was providing kind of the back-end support for FBT on that. And then immediately after the show, I went out and I bought this toolbox to start sorting some things to clean up a lot of my DJ hardware stuff later on, remote controls, trussing, things, whatever. And then come to find out, I completely kind of forgot. I did a handshake friendly agreement with a friend of mine to do a photo booth at his daughter's quinceañera. So I had to jump on that because I was also doing lighting design. And I was providing the Fog Fury jets as well for the big grand finale for the presentation that the kids do. So then I jumped on that. And I had photo booth maintenance to do. And yeah. So I'm now trying to get back into the swing of things, but I'm tired. It's like, where's the break in there? There is no break. Not if you want to get things done, I guess. You just keep going.
Yeah, I think that's what they say. Yeah, John's probably on AM radio because again, I'm using laptop microphone and there's noise in the background. But yeah, there just isn't a break. It seems like you get to that point and it's like one thing to the next thing, and I suppose that's good.
Yeah, it's nice to be busy. It sucks that you're falling behind on other things though, because I am behind on like videos and product reviews and things, or not product, but product demos.
Yeah,
but I'll get to it. And once I get everything done, it's going to be like rapid fire. Everything's going to be easy to do. It's in the room. I'm getting so close, so close to getting this wrapped up. But yeah, I'm trying to get things done to the point where I can enjoy my summer a little bit, because it's limited, as you know, in this type of where we live.
Yes.
This part of the country, it's limited. So otherwise I'm working through August on things, and then now I'm done. I can relax, but it's getting cold. And
you've missed your opportunity.
All right. So yeah, so I'm just trying to get done early so I can enjoy.
And that's part of what tonight's show is going to be about. Is last week, for those of you who don't know, we were at Midwest DJs Live in Milwaukee, which isn't far from Brian S. Red's house. So we've got a couple of things we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about the event itself, and then we can share some behind the curtain elements of the Brian S. Red compound.
Yeah, you were here.
I was there. We got the tour.
It was a disaster down here. I'd apologize for that.
Yeah, we got the 57-cent tour. It was fabulous, and we're going to talk about those different things tonight on tonight's show. So,
all right.
Yeah, it's going to be enlightening, and I know a lot of you have followed Brian's videos and pictures and different things over the years, and I have actually, Brian, this is funny. I have seen sketches from two different people who have sketched out what they think your basement looks like. It's like, okay, I think this is what it looks like. So after going down there last week, it's like, no, you're not. No, you're not.
No, it's not what you think.
It's not that roomy.
I think it's bigger than people think it is. I think a lot of people come down here and they expect it to be tiny, and there's actually 3 rooms total.
Yeah,
just one. They're all a disaster, but I'm working on that. You saw it in like almost in construction mode, and I didn't want to bring anybody down here at all. But I thought, well, you're here. Hopefully you can look past it. But yeah, we're going through things again, trying to get ready for summer so we can enjoy it. Trying to get things just kind of efficient, Yeah. So we can grab a laser and we can grab an IC cable and we can grab whatever we need, and we're not digging through bins and bins and bins trying to find the right remote for the light or the clamp or whatever. So unfortunately you saw it in disarray, but in a couple weeks here, maybe even a week, maybe I'll do a video tour of the place.
Yeah,
I might be to the point where I can actually do the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
We're getting very close.
And I've not. There have been a couple of DJs who have just immaculate warehouse areas and such, but let's face it, it's a space. It's a worked-in space. Yeah. And for anyone who's going to be, whatever. You know what? This is what we do. We have to work in these spaces. We can't make it look like this gallery home or this model home.
Well,
we have to
that's
do
the goal. I mean, that's what I want. And every time that I've had anybody over, anytime, I've had this area looking great. Mm-hmm. But don't open that door. Don't go back there.
Don't look behind the curtain.
You can. This is what's back there. Don't worry about it.
It doesn't. You're not seeing anything.
The behind the door is looking really good. It's in front of the door that's looking like crap now. So we're working on it. So it's a work in progress.
Yes. And then, of course, DJ Alamir is talking about the legendary disco porch. Yes, we got to see the disco porch at night.
Disco porch also under construction. Or sort of. It's not open yet.
Yeah, I was going to say, it wasn't open for the season yet. The signs were up saying, not open for the season. Come back later. But it was there were some aspects that we got to see and experience. So that was pretty cool.
But I'm so boring in real life. John knows that now. We're just boring people who talk about gardening and coffee and just we're not that interesting.
Burgers and
people.
Squirrels and
the birds. Yeah, dude. I'm telling you, people. I don't know what people think. They think they're gonna come over and they're gonna see Tiesto posters in my living room. That is not my house.
No, well, actually, we should be honest. What we spent a lot of time talking about was birds, you mentioned, and cats.
The cat, the dog,
the dog. Yeah.
Yeah, that's us. We're just.
And if we were off video or Lori was in this conversation, we'd be talking about cats and bunnies and dogs in our world because that's what's really monopolized since we got home. Monopolized the conversation in our house.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're boring old people, but that's another story.
Right. We enjoy our boring life.
It was, and we enjoyed our time at hanging out with you guys. That was fun.
I wish we would have had more time. I wanted to show you the city more. You got to see kind of my neighborhood a little bit, and you got to see the Walker's Point a little bit, but there was more I wanted to show you. There's a lot of cool stuff in this town. Next time around, we got to make time just to explore it because there's neat stuff here. and stuff that people will know about. That's pretty cool.
Very much so, and that was one of the things I don't want to say I was surprised by that fact, but there's a weird, and it's for those of you watching tonight's show and you're looking for educational content, probably not going to happen.
Sorry.
This is tonight. This is basically two friends just getting together and talking. So I want to put this out there because anyone who's going to complain that there was no content and they wasted an hour of their time, that's on your head, not ours.
You're lucky you got to show it all. The guys in Vegas.
We're here talking and hanging out, and for those,
I'll give you some nuggets here and there. I got some stuff.
Okay. And there was a couple of things I got from and when we talk about the seminars and that stuff we can do, but there's just we're going to be all over the place. So Milwaukee, this was my first time in Milwaukee, and one of the things that probably struck me the most is the history that is just in your face in that community. That the old parts of the community that are there and so embraced.
Yeah.
Because there's so many, obviously as the country was settled and it moved across, there's places in Minnesota that don't have that history going that far back. And it was really kind of cool to see how much of that is there and is still being utilized at such a high level.
Well, you were in the cool neighborhoods to see that. I mean, there are other parts of town where it's been leveled and they've built other things.
Yeah.
There are other parts of town that you don't go in because there's no reason to go there, and you got to be heavily armed to get in and out safe. But for the most part, I mean, it's a cool city. There's a lot going on here, and if I'm remembering right, and maybe you can correct me, but Minnesota for the most part was settled by more Nordic people.
Yep.
Swedes, people from Norway, Finland, maybe. Am I right on that?
Yeah, you're basically the upper part of Europe. So you have German, Polish. You do have some Swedes. Those are probably the three major, and then there will be some Irish influence in different pockets. You'll have some other areas, but really those are the big things.
Milwaukee is German and Polish. Period. I mean, yeah, there was an Irish influx. There was also a small Italian influx. And most recently, the biggest influx has been Greek. So we have a lot of Greeks here. Greeks and the Greek culture have kind of meshed into what we are here. So, but the German thing is very strong. German is a big thing. That's the beer. That's a lot of the architecture. And even, quite frankly, a lot of the attitude. A lot of the demeanor and just when I go to Germany, I can relate to these people because they I may not understand the language, but I understand the interaction because it's so much like a Milwaukee thing. And I told German people that I'm from a German settlement in Wisconsin, so in the U.S. it's like here, but not. We embrace things like polka and Oktoberfest. And the Germans say to me, "Oh, well, that's not what we're all about." It's like, I understand that, but you got to understand that that's what our immigrants were about.
Yeah.
And we've held on to that. So we're holding true to it. No, we're not building Audis, but, and we're not doing, craft work, but we're doing these older German things. And yeah, I don't know. It's cool that way. Polish is another big influence here. A lot of Poles, a lot of skis, Andy, you remember Andy? That's Hajnowski. He's Polish descent. So, I don't know. It's an interesting community in that regard. And of course, you've got your Asians and you've got your Hispanic. You saw that. You saw the Hispanic influence here.
Yeah. So
we have a lot of that, and they go way back. This isn't a new influx. They've been here for a long time. They're part of the community. So, we're all over the place. We're all over the place.
Yeah, it's just a neat experience, I think.
It's a little clean Chicago is what it is, really.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to describe it. Lori's looking for something.
What are you looking for, Lori?
Brian's wondering what you're looking for.
Hi, Brian.
Hi, Lori.
He said hi. She's just off camera, so you guys can't see her. We're again in Las Vegas. We're here for the hardware show. Lori's got some work on things that she's catching up on as we are doing remote office work. So,
where are you staying?
We're at the Spring Hill Suite, so we're right across from the convention center.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we for this particular show, we like to come here because we're here over a stretch of unusual days, meaning it's not early in the week, it's not late in the week, it's over the middle of the week, and we need to have consistent internet. So this is one of the few hotels in Las Vegas where we can have a strong enough band that we're streaming to both Facebook Live and to YouTube. And you guys are, I mean, I'm looking at it, and we haven't dropped much of any frames yet whatsoever. So for those of you who are watching, and some of you have said that you've had to refresh a couple of times, it's not because of our end tonight. We've got a really good connection, so which is yay. It doesn't happen when you're mobile too often.
I'm just looking at some of the comments here. Yeah, John's got a little noise on his end because it's a mic on his computer.
Yeah.
He doesn't have a cool microphone like I do.
No.
And I actually have a new one. I got a brand new one I haven't shown you yet.
Oh, wow.
It's not here. It's in a box.
Okay.
I got the XLR version of this microphone, this JTS USB 1. So I've got our one USB. I got the one that I can run through my mixing board so we can do like music broadcasts later on the Insider.
Nice.
We have regular. You can do that.
Yeah. That'd be cool.
But yeah, no, it was really cool to have everybody here. The show, you know, I was in and out there on a very different. I guess I was there for a different reason than most people were there. I was there for the back end support thing, but all of my time in the expo room, I didn't go to any seminars at all. I heard a lot about them, but I didn't go to any seminars.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that was actually something that's a little unusual. Is I'm usually that guy also, but this particular one, we really were intentional on wanting to spend time in that seminar room. And
yeah, you were there solid.
Yeah, we were there. We were listening and watching, and picked up some good tips and some neat ideas. And a lot of those we're going to be. I'm going to be getting back into doing a couple of Tuesday tips a month because I've had some requests from a couple of people to be dropping those once in a while. So we're going to do that, and I'm going to be putting some of the things that we learned from the different people, and not only just sharing a little bit about what they were talking about, but putting my spin on it, because there are things, and you guys have experienced that, where you've heard an idea from someone and you're like, okay, that idea was this good, but if they would do this, it could be so much better, and you're adding a little bit more to it, and that's what I'm going to do. David's having some trouble. You know what? I'm going to try to see if I can share. I don't know if I can post that. There we go. Maybe the reason I posted that in the YouTube chat is that's the Facebook one, and maybe David can hit that one. I don't know. Yeah, David's having a tough time with YouTube, and yet it's looking great on my end. I don't understand. Mm-hmm.
You know, I was thinking about some of the characters we ran into at the show.
Yeah.
And one that's sticking out in my mind, and I've never been able to make a parallel, because you know how you can, anybody that I do this, anybody I know, I can say they remind me of this guy, okay, or they're kind of like this guy. The guy I've never been able to pigeonhole until after the show, and it just occurred to me, is Nick Hahn.
Okay.
From Promo Only.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
You know, if I'm going to describe Nick Hahn to somebody, who is he like? You know. And it finally occurred to me who it's like. Nick Hahn is kind of like the DJ industry's Matthew McConaughey. That's who he is. Sometimes he's got a weird mustache and he's driving around in a Lincoln talking about something that we don't understand. Sometimes he looks like Jesus. Sometimes he's funny. Sometimes he's serious. That's Nick. And I really like Nick, but I finally figured out he's a Matthew McConaughey kind of character. That's who Nick is.
Yeah, I could see that. I could definitely see that.
He's a really good guy.
Oh yeah.
He's funny. He hustled me out of some money. That's another story.
Yeah, the audio is in our typical audio feed for DJ Pumpkin Paul. I'm on a laptop here in Vegas, and I do not have an external microphone, so we're just using laptop microphone. We're not hearing the echo we did last night because I've got my earbuds in, so Brian would be echoing back through, so we're not that. But yeah, it's not perfect, and I apologize for that, but I can only carry so much stuff on an airplane.
That's what I keep saying, but I always carry it all anyway.
Yeah, and you were very diligent when you did that when we were at Chris's house there. It's like, oh, there's his studio set up right there in some bedroom.
How did it sound? I don't even know.
Yeah,
Did
it sounded great. I mean, it was wonderful. I just wish we would have had the dragon wallpaper that you were, whatever's on the side over there.
The purple.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, all I've got is blank.
It's kind of a cool, funky painting behind you.
Yeah. That's probably the highlight of the room. So.
No, but back to the Milwaukee thing. I mean, bummer that you guys were staying by the airport, and bummer that it was such a quick trip. I mean, and it was crappy weather too. But yeah, love to have you back sometime and do this right.
Yeah. We talked about that. And that's something definitely I have to put on a list.
Yeah, and just if anything, just to do it. You can stay here. You saw the spare room; it's clean. There's no rodents in there or anything. If there's one thing a Puerto Rican woman does well, it's clean a house.
She does a fabulous job.
You don't. I mean, okay. Aside from the dungeon, she stays away from this. This is not her thing.
Yeah,
she draws the line on cleaning this.
I was going to say we could see where the line in the sand was. Brian's part and Walker's part.
Absolutely, there's a difference. But you're welcome anytime. But I'd love to just show you some stuff and even some of the stuff outside of town. It's more than what people think it is. Like I told you before you came, I think people get the impression that it's a little Dayton, Ohio.
Mm-hmm.
Or it's like Dayton, Ohio, or it's totally not. You didn't even get to see the art museum and all the cool stuff downtown.
Didn't get to see too.
Oh my gosh!
No.
Do you know what the art museum looks like?
No, I don't.
You should Google that because that's amazing. It's a transformer.
Oh wow!
It's new. It was designed by the same architect who did the Sydney Opera House, as a matter of fact.
Mm-hmm.
Right on the water. It's got sails that move depending on what the I don't know, whatever the waves are doing. It's a nautical thing. I don't understand it completely, but it's beautiful, and we're just getting more and more stuff like that all the time. It's neat. There's some cool stuff here, and I was able to actually take Jamie from FBT on more of a complete tour. He saw all that stuff.
Oh, nice.
He thought it was pretty cool. We went up the North Shore. We saw all the their mansion. It's stuff that you would expect to see in Chicago on Lakeshore Drive. Mm-hmm. We've got the same thing here, and the people who founded the breweries and the foundries and things, they built these massive old mansions, and they're still there, and there's miles of them right along the lakeshore.
Yeah,
and they're I mean, I can't afford to live there, and some stuff has their own beach. The stuff on the east side of the road has, Lake Michigan private beach. And then the stuff on the other side of the road just gets to say that they're on Lakeshore Drive. There's a place up there that we didn't get to, and I love to show people. It looks exactly like the Beverly Hillbillies mansion. I mean, it's that big. It's just grand. And it's got a huge courtyard.
Uh-huh. Does it have a cement pond in back?
I'm not allowed back there. I don't know. But if you remember what the front of the place looks like, it looks just like that. And it's just very grand. There's fountains out front. It's beautiful. Mm-hmm. We have those kind of things here. And there's more food I'd like to have shown you too. We went to a little hipster bar in the neighborhood. And how can I say this? The service isn't great, but the food is decent.
I don't think I've ever had a server at a restaurant basically try to, I don't know, would it be
guilt you?
Guilt my wife. I mean, maybe you or I, because we're dudes, but guilt. So
this is the neighborhood I live in. This is why I try to. When I say I live in a hipster neighborhood, I'm not kidding you.
Yes.
It's got all the pretension. It's Little Brooklyn is what it is. We go into this place. It's called Palomino, and it was probably designed theme-wise back in the 50s with horses and shit. And there's like velvet paintings on the walls, and they've changed nothing since the 50s. Still smells like stale Camel cigarettes in there. Mm-hmm. Well, you can't smoke in there, but it does. It's a hipster thing. Everybody's got massive piercings and tattoos that work there. The food is wonderful. They get the good stuff. And I know this because Andy used to drive for a food service, and they ordered all the good stuff. So you get great burgers in there, whatever you want. But you get the attitude.
Yep.
You get the attitude with it. So we sit down, we get our drinks, and Lori says, "Can I have a straw?" And the server's like, yeah, but we don't just give you straws because, we care about dolphins here or whatever the hell she said.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my gosh, and I'm laughing because, I'm looking at it, I didn't say it had good service. I said they had good food.
Yeah, that's exactly. That's exactly what you said.
Our plan was to go to the Soul Food barbecue place, but for some reason they were closed. I don't know why, but that place you get the service, you get the Southern charm and all that. We went for the burger, but and it was a good burger. I like the burger.
It was very good.
But yeah, but you got the experience. Now you totally get it.
I did. I mean, I think the two things from that experience is like the fries were okay, but I'm looking at that pie that they had in that display. It looked really, really good.
Everything is good there. They do really good food there. They don't treat everyone nice. If we went in there with tattoos and ripped up clothes and gauges in our ears and stuff and beards, they'd probably be really cool to us because we're cool.
Yeah, but we weren't. We just looked like
they knew you were a tourist.
We were like boring old people.
You're not authentic. You're just vintage.
Yeah. That doesn't get you anywhere.
Vintage, but not authentic vintage. Nah. Yeah. So, but it's safe, and you don't lock your doors, and it's an interesting little place.
Yeah, it was. It was a neat little place.
The neighborhood is interesting. We got cool stuff, but it's like I tell everybody, I live here. I don't socialize here. I live here. Occasionally, I'll go get some food here or something. I know what to expect when I do. They look at me like I'm a cop, and they treat me like that too.
Yes, they do. So let's get back to the show. For those who didn't know or don't know too much about it, Midwest DJs Live was in Milwaukee. There at the Crown Plaza Airport. 2 days, Monday and Tuesday of last week. There were educational seminars going pretty much all day, Monday and Tuesday. There was an exhibit hall set up. Did that do anything? That was on Monday. Did it start on Monday?
It was Monday and Tuesday.
So Monday afternoon and Tuesday afternoon. And
all from noon to like 6:30. It was really long.
Yeah, it was a really long time, and that's something that they're going to work on because, I think there was 130 some people that were at this year's show, which is a nice number for a regional event. But I think most people would rather have 2 hours of good contact time with exhibitors instead of this big window where there's a lot of thumb twiddling.
Yeah.
So it was overall a really neat experience. But the thing that with the regional events, and Brian, you and I have been to national and these regional events, and the thing that I really like about the regional events is the amount of networking you can do more one-on-one or in a small group than you can at a regional one. And not that you can't talk to people, but let's face it, at a national event, you and I are going to be talking to someone for 2 minutes here, then 2 minutes over here, and 2 minutes here, and we may not see that person the rest of the show.
Yeah.
But yet at these regional events, you're going to be able to talk to him for 2 minutes here, and then maybe this evening we'll talk to him for another 10 minutes, and then tomorrow morning you might talk to him for another 10 minutes. That kind of a thing where you're going to run into people more often at these smaller events, and I think that alone gives it a value that in some cases really you can't put a price tag on, because you're able to ask a question to someone like Brian, and then you can come back and ask maybe a follow-up question or another thought or what have you, and just really develop a relationship at a level you can't at a larger national event.
Yeah, that is absolutely the case sometimes. There are certain people who go to this show. There are certain people who don't go to the show who are local. A lot of the local guys that I know weren't there, and it's because they've got day jobs, and but they're the folks that go to this show. A lot of them are Illinois people. We get a lot of Illinois people.
Yes, I was really surprised at the amount that came up from that area.
Yeah,
and
it's a lot of Illinois.
And I wonder,
I think mostly it's Illinois.
Yeah, and I wonder. Well, you had a strong contingent from Minnesota.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is typical when we had our show up in Minneapolis. St. Paul is a large metro area, and there should be, in the suburbs and such, there should be 1,000 DJs. If you even took 10% of the DJs there,
right,
you'd have well over 1,000 DJs.
Right.
But you get 20 DJs from that 494, 694 loop. And I think Milwaukee was the same way. You might have had
Yeah.
10 DJs from town who came, but from Minnesota, I think there was at least 25, and Chicagoland area, which is surprising because when Mobile Beat was in Chicago years ago, that was one of the biggest issues they had. Is like no one from Chicago basically came.
Yeah.
And it's there. Where are people?
Chicago is a weird market.
Yeah.
It's a very odd duck. What's happened with Chicago, from my experience, what I've seen is, yeah, you've got your folks who were doing events. You've got people like Shaney, and they're doing the larger bar mitzvah thing, whatever. But a majority of the Chicago DJs are actually who are into it. One of them I ran into at the show last week. He came up for a minute, but most of them are house music DJs.
Yeah.
Like they were club guys, and they're about our age, maybe a little older. Now they have families. They don't want to do the club anymore, but they still love the DJ. So they're starting to get into weddings, and they're starting to get into uplighting, and it's like a new thing for them. They never did it before. They know music like, wow, holy crap, they know their music like really, really well. But everything else they're learning now. And they're fascinating to talk to because they're sponges. They really want to learn. Yet they have so much to share. Mm-hmm. They have so many cool things to tell us and some insight and history. I love those guys.
Yeah. And that was another observation. Is there a couple of the guys I get to run into that with that in that world, and it was kind of surprising because they were asking some of the and I don't want to call them beginner questions, but to a point in the mobile world, they were kind of at that more entry beginner level type questions that they were asking. And I would envision looking at them being more experienced or more of a mature DJ, that they would be beyond that. And it's like, But as you say now, they're kind of starting a second career.
Exactly. They're and the spirit they have on this, they're into it. They love it.
Yeah.
And they're at the point of their lives where they're like, I'm not ashamed. This is cool. I enjoy it. They're professional. Most of them are professionals. They're homeowners. They don't all live in Chicago anymore. A lot of them have moved actually to Indiana, like right outside of Chicago in the suburbs of Indiana, simply because it's so inexpensive to live there. Taxes are less, homes are less, and they've only got about a 40-minute commute to Chicago. Mm-hmm. A lot of them don't even live in Illinois anymore. Some do, some don't. But they're all about their families. And a lot of a majority of these folks are actually Latino, Mexican and Puerto Rican, some Dominican as well. But they're just fascinating to talk to. And it's so cool to go to the events that they do, the mobile events that they do. I was doing a photo booth at one, I think it was about a year and a half ago. And it was LJ. He's a real cool guy. And all these guys know each other too. And they're doing a wedding for a cousin or whatever. Nice place and a beautiful, I guess it was a nature preserve. And it had a hall there. And they did the typical stuff that you do at weddings. And then they did these blocks. Like one block was an energy set. One block was full on house music. One block was classic hip hop. Oh, wow. Amazing. I heard songs I either hadn't heard in 30 years or I didn't know what they were. I missed them the first time around. And it was so exciting. And the crowd just, they ate it up. These are DJs. They're not mobile entertainers. They're DJs. And they're getting into mobile entertainment. It's just a really cool phenomenon to see it and to experience it. These guys, once they are able to, I guess, further cultivate their skills as mobile entertainers, I'm threatened. I mean, these guys are so good. They're so good. They do that part best. And that's the part that I admire the most.
Yeah.
Is the actual skills and the connecting with the audience and playing to that crowd, that special, genre of music and that right mix. That turns me on.
Oh yeah. I mean, they're able to, with that music mix, take the guests on a journey, really, a musical journey.
Yeah.
That I think as a mobile DJ, sometimes we get a little hesitant and we don't want to maybe is it a risk? Take that risk of taking people on a mobile journey or a musical journey?
I think it depends on where you live too. I mean, the stuff that they're doing in Chicagoland is stuff that we couldn't get away with here because the general audience isn't as familiar with it. But Chicago was so special. If you go back 20, 30 years, it's 10 years ago. I mean, the regular radio station played these deep cuts. And it wasn't mainstream stuff that anybody else heard. I've told this story before. House music happened. Started 80 miles from where I'm sitting right now. 80 miles away. I didn't even get a taste of it until 86, almost 87. And most people never heard it at all. We didn't hear it. It wasn't played on our radio. I don't know that it was really played in our clubs too much. But yeah, it was just so incredibly regional. It went to Europe and then it came back to the States bigger into the big cities. But it was such a regional thing. These people there get it though. Middle-aged people, even people in their 30s or even 20s, it's very normal. And of course, the Latin crowd's different too because, I mean, the quinceañera that I was at for Art, remember Art? He was on the show. It was his daughter's quinceañera. They do freestyle sets at quinceañeras. So they're doing Stevie B and they're doing I don't know. They're doing what else? What else did I hear? Expose and Noel and Debbie Deb, Trenier. They're doing this stuff at these parties, and these 15-year-old kids know it because in that culture, they've heard it.
Sure.
That's their version of your kid knowing Jailhouse Rock by Elvis. Their kids know Part of Your Body by Stevie B. It's kind of funny, but it's just fascinating. There's a lot of Chicago people.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Todd wants to know can you ask general questions? Sure. Go right ahead.
Go right ahead.
What do you got? Jay.
Yeah.
I sent you a text earlier, Jay. I hope you got it. I'm shipping a care package to Jay.
Nice. Hopefully it's that cheese you promised him.
Hey, give it away. Yeah.
So,
no.
What kind of things were you hearing as far as from the seminar? Did you hear people talking about any of them in the hallway as you were passing?
The one that I heard people talking about the most, and I don't know if you mentioned it to me as well. Somebody. Who the hell was telling me about this? But anyway, they were talking about, I don't know the guy. I've never met the guy. I've seen him, and I'm not real familiar with what he does, but he's around. He does the circuit. The Big Daddy guy.
Yeah, Sean. Sean.
Okay. They were talking about his thing that he's doing. He's basically doing the planning, and he's doing the whole structure with these receptions. He's coming in doing 4 hours, I believe.
Yeah, he's doing an East Coast type reception, which is a 4 hour beginning to end, compared to what you and I do is a 6 to 8 hour.
Right. But he's doing I don't know, have a dance, then do the prayer, and then have the first course and do a dance, and have the second course and do a dance. And they talked about that, and they thought that was interesting. One thing that someone did mention to me was that they, what was nice about what he was doing was it wasn't so long. It was a quickie kind of thing.
Oh yeah, very much so.
I don't mind the long ones though. I'm getting to the point where I don't mind it. It's broken up into a way that it doesn't bother me. I tell you what bugs me though. What's weird is when I come in, it's still weird. I call it the Chicago style ceremony or reception. Is when they want to have a first dance before dinner. That is, I know they do it in other parts of the country. It's a very Chicago thing to do. Milwaukee, it's not like that. You come in, you cut the cake, you say a prayer, you eat food, and then you do everything at once. There's no stop and start and stop and start. I like that momentum that we do in this part of the country. The Chicago thing, I'll do it, and I'm just used to it. But it sounds like Sean is really breaking it down into these different sections.
Yeah, and
he's having success with it.
Yeah, and that's not something specific. That is an East Coast. The East Coast version and West Coast version of weddings are more that way. And Jay probably could share a little bit on that aspect from his perspective.
Jays are short. I mean,
well, that's because he's so cool that they're like, hey, wow, we've seen the rock star. We can go home now.
Knocks it out.
Yeah, exactly. Wow, a 20-minute dance with Jay can take the whole night to a new level. I'm just saying.
You see, it's weird because what is California? 2 hours different than where I am?
Yeah. We're out here at 7:45.
Well, usually in the summertime, when I'm on my way to a gig, Jay's calling me on his way to a gig. So he's going to his gig 2 hours earlier than I am. And on the drive home, a lot of times I get a call from Jay. And if I've got a long drive, I'll talk to Jay for an hour. And he's driving home too. So he's wrapping up at 10, where I'm wrapping up at midnight. So it's a little earlier. And it starts a little earlier, ends a little earlier. And I think a lot of that has to do with where Jay lives in Temecula, which is wine country. He's doing a lot of wineries, and I don't know if it's a residential thing where they need him to wrap it up by 10, but most of the stuff seems like he's wrapping it up around 10:30.
Yeah.
He doesn't go real late if he's playing locally. If he's playing LA, it's different, but that's just been my observation from what we talked about. But yeah, it's different everywhere you go, I guess.
Yeah, I think so, especially East Coast, West Coast. And then we had a show where Mike Schnauder and I compared northern shows to his show, and his show is even different than what they talk about over at DJ Expo as an example, because they obviously are heavy on East Coast DJs presenting. So they're talking about first course dance, this cake cutting dance, this back and forth throughout that 4-hour block, which seems so foreign to you and I, because we get to a site and we set up, and then the guests arrive at 5 o'clock. Well, we'll introduce the wedding party at 5 to 6, dinner at 6, then and the dance starts at 8.
Right.
That's very common. So we're playing music from generally 5 o'clock in the evening till probably midnight.
Right, but you're not really doing the dance floor. You're doing a dance floor for 4 hours.
Yeah, the dance starts at 8.
But it's 4 consecutive hours.
Yeah.
And to me, that's an easy thing. I enjoy that. I was at the Store Blanca. We were at Target right before I came on. And with my disability, I can walk fine as long as I can keep a stride going. If I have to start and stop a lot, it's hard. Well, Blanca was in front of me, and she kept stopping. And I kept stepping on her foot, like the back of her heel.
Right.
I did it twice because she kept breaking my stride. That's hard. And then I got to start again, and it's exhausting. So much easier when I can just go. When I don't have to start and stop and start and stop. And that goes with everything I do. Not only my weird walk, but everything that I do is like that. I was looking here. Todd was asking something about sound would hit the crowd being elevated.
I think he was talking about speakers up there.
Yeah. Well, this I'm not sure exactly where you're going with this, Todd, but what I can tell you and what John can tell you as well is that the higher up that your speakers are over people's heads, the more sound will travel. It's a good thing. If your speakers are sitting on the stage and they're hitting people in the ear, that's not a good thing. You want your speakers, regardless if you're set up on the floor or on the stage, you want at least your horns to be, I would say, a good foot or more above people's heads. The sound travels well that way. It's not hitting people in the ear. It's not causing ear fatigue. Bass, typically, they say it's omnidirectional, not really, but you can stand in front of a subwoofer and you're not blocking the sound of the subwoofer so much. But if your body is physically in front of a horn or your even your array, full range array, and it's the mid and the treble, you're blocking it. You can't move it. You can put your hand over it and not hear it anymore. Not only that, but it's really harsh and causes hearing damage. You don't want to do that. You want those above everybody's heads. So do that. No matter what you have to do, get your horns above people's heads. If you're, put your speakers on tripods. The higher if your speakers are up in the air, the sound's going to travel better than if your speakers are not up in the air.
But you will get to a point, though, if your speakers are up in the air, and the dispersion, Ben's talked about this, we have a 90 degree going this way, but we might only have a 60 degree going vertical. So there is a potential that if you have that speaker too high, that people within 6 feet of the speaker aren't going to be able to hear that tweeter. Doesn't.
Right.
I mean, you got to be 10 feet up, but it is possible. So that's why some of the speakers, some of the EV have it, and RCF, not RCF, excuse me. I'm completely drawing a blank. QSC, there we go. Have the ability to tip that speaker down, so you can put that horn
the pole
above the heads. Yeah, you have to put that horn so it's at 8 feet high, but it has a little bit of a slant to it, so that the bottom of that dispersion, the vertical dispersion,
And JBL did that for years too.
will still hit the crowd. So, but it's
What I
best.
like to do, I'm not quite 6 feet tall. People keep telling me I am, but I don't think I am. But anyway, like the bottom of the speaker, I like it to hit me right here. Like if I'm using a 12-inch top cab, if my speaker hits me here, I feel like I'm cool. I'm well above, more than a foot above the average person's head in the room. So my sound's going to travel fine. I mean, if the guy walks in that's 7.5 feet tall, I can't help that guy. But on average, I mean, I'm reasonably above everybody's head. I'm not way up in the air, but I'm not going to cause any hearing damage or ear fatigue because of my speaker positioning, and the sound should travel relatively well.
Mm-hmm.
That's just how I do it. And we're always playing in different venues. Not all of us have been Stowe, so we don't all know the thing's been Stowe-Nose.
We haven't studied it to the.
Have to kind of use a little bit of common sense in these environments. Do what works best. The worst thing you can do is not get your speakers in there.
Yeah.
The worst thing. It just causes problems.
It's still, when you've got people who are out there doing mobile events and they have the speakers, basically I've seen them sitting on the floor, on chairs, on table, where the top of the speakers are at knee height, waist height, or shoulder height max.
Right.
It's like, why even bother? So what you end up doing is, because they've got the speaker so low, to get sound to go to the other room once there's a dance floor full, they have to push those so incredibly hard. And generally, those aren't the greatest quality speakers, so now you've got harshness being blown right into the bodies of the people in the front. And you mentioned ear fatigue. Oh, ear fatigue and even ear damage at that point blank, because again, you're trying to push that so hard so that people in the back of the room can maybe hear a little bit of what's going on. It's crazy. Speaker stands are less than $100 for a pair nowadays.
And they're all pretty much standard height. I mean, most of them are going to put your speaker right here.
Yeah. Whatever you're going to do.
Speaker stands and light stands are different height.
Mm-hmm.
Your light stand's going to go 10 feet in the air. Your speaker stand, however, it's about it. That's high enough.
Mm-hmm.
Just fully extend it, being safe. Should get it about 6 feet up in the air, maybe a couple inches shy, and you should be fine. So, that's all I got to say about that.
Yeah. Just checking our chat.
Robin, I don't like saggy scrims either. Something about saggy scrims. I don't know. Tickle in my throat. Forgive me.
Yeah, no, that's what I brought back from Milwaukee was a cough.
Yeah, who's the ass bag who gave that to everybody? Thanks a lot for not staying home.
Yeah. There's been a few of us, because it took until I think Friday for me to really come down with it. So, yeah, trying to talk today and such. It's like,
I put myself on a course of Greek antibiotics immediately following the show.
Oh, I wish I
I'm
would.
doing pretty good.
Wish I would know what that was.
I got some contraband here. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Yeah. That was.
I just knew. I know that, when I get worn down, I'm worthless. So.
Yeah, that's
and I don't want to visit my parents if I'm not feeling well, because they're older and I don't want to get them sick.
Oh, for sure.
So I always want to make sure that I'm doing everything I can to not be sick. And one thing I don't like to do is shake everybody's hand, especially you sick pricks who come to shows and spread it everywhere.
Exactly.
Thanks a lot.
Exactly. That's where I've
There's
got
another reason that I don't use the guest mic.
This is
I'm not going to get sick.
a little bit of the spray this is
Yeah.
something Jay Brannon got me into a few years back. It's these little antibacterial or whatever, those little spray things that
Yeah.
they come close to you, you just spray them in the face and they run away. So I mean, it works.
Go away.
I think that's how Jay used it. I don't remember.
Probably.
I think so. I think that's how he used it.
Probably.
But yeah, it was a good trip. For those of you who haven't been to a DJ show, a regional show, whether it's Midwest DJs Live, which will be number 10. Their number 10 will be next year. They've already announced dates and such. If you haven't gone to Armed DJs coming up here in in a month and a half, definitely something to check out. That's down in Greenville, Tennessee. Those regional events are great spots to start going to an event because you're going to get to meet people and again experience this networking at a level that you can't at a national event. Not that national events aren't bad, and if you can start with one, yay, great, but it's just a different world.
Yeah. I mean, personally, I prefer the national events.
Mm-hmm.
That's me. I get more out of them. People seem like they're more willing to talk to you and tell you what's working for them. That's the disadvantage of the regional events for me, is that people seem more guarded. They don't want to tell the next guy what they're doing because they're afraid the next guy is going to steal their business if they do. Whereas if I go to Mobile Beat or if I go to DJ Expo or BPM or wherever, people don't care. They know I'm in Milwaukee. They're like, yeah, dude, this is what's working really well in Vegas. You should try it. Or what's working well in LA or Frisco or Fresno or in New York, New Jersey. Oh my gosh, the stuff you get from Boston, Miami, Fort Lauderdale, doesn't matter. Wonderful. They're just not as guarded. They're more guarded at these regional shows.
Very much so, especially if you're in the same. Now, for me, coming in from out of town, I'm not in anybody's market. So if I would have sat down at dinner with someone from the Milwaukee or Chicago area, they're going to be very, very open with me because I'm not perceived as competition in any way, shape, or form.
Right.
Now, being that you're from the area, there's probably a different level of that. And I think at these shows, you've got people who are new to the show experience, so they're not sharing like you go to the larger national events where people have been there. This is my 7th time of being to this show. You didn't hear that from Milwaukee. I mean, first off, it's only been around for 9 years. Secondly, is that the show has evolved over the last few years, so now it's attracting to a point a different DJ than it did 5 years ago.
Although a lot of the same guys who were going before are still going. Yeah, you're bringing some people in from out of town. But most of the faces that I saw there, I've seen them before. I mean, a lot of those guys, that's their show. They go. It's almost a social thing for them, I think.
Mm-hmm. Oh, very much so.
So, somebody asked me if I'm still using RCF. No, I'm not using any RCF at all anymore.
Yeah.
There's a quick answer for you. Somebody who casually watches my videos.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we haven't done that in about 3 years now. I don't think anything on that.
Eric asked about if there's anything in Florida. I don't even know if there's any association chapter meetings anymore in Florida. There have been numerous events over the years in Florida, and none of them have been financially successful enough to continue. I've attended a couple down there over the years in Orlando, and they were great events. We had fun, but having fun with 300 people when you have a budget or you have a $50,000, $75,000, $100,000 egg to crack as a promoter, that just doesn't work.
What's your favorite show, John?
My favorite one? Boy.
Out of all of them.
I have to say that that Expo is probably starting to become that show. I mean, the Mobile Beat one was a place I really enjoyed, but I really don't enjoy that one as much as I used to. Not because the people don't go. It's actually the opposite. Is that my friends are all there, but because we're so dispersed that I don't get to spend any time, and I come home. It's kind of like I have my hopes set for this toy for Christmas, and I'm so excited that Santa's going to bring me this toy, and then Christmas comes and the toy wasn't there. That's what I get the feeling from Vegas, is that I'm so excited to see all my friends, and we're going to spend time together, and I'm going to have dinner with this, and it doesn't happen. Whereas at Expo, I don't put the same level of expectations, and then when things just kind of naturally happen there, I really kind of like that, and I'm starting to dig that East Coast vibe more than the West Coast vibe.
I love the West Coast, man. I mean, it's my second home, and I mean, I love every place that I go. I'm in love with Germany. I love going to Germany. I love going everywhere I go. But yeah, West Coast is my second home all day. I will say that for me, Mobile Beat is the easiest show for me. It just doesn't seem difficult at all. It's the structure is simple. I don't feel any pressure. I get it. I mean, I understand what they're doing out there.
Yep.
The one that I'm getting the most from is probably Expo. Is the one I'm learning the most from, because the East Coast people, I mean, if you took a sampling from the DJs all over the world, Europe, US, different regions of the US, I would say that the East Coast DJs have it together more so than anywhere else in the world.
Yep.
They're getting the most cash too. They're super serious about what they do. And yeah, I love that East Coast attitude. I love it.
Yeah, it's.
I don't know why. And it's attitude.
It is. It really is.
But I love it. And at first I thought, I don't know about this. But then once I kind of got into it, it's like, all right, he's just breaking my balls. It's his way of saying hi. Yeah. I think we're going to get along just fine.
That was so much. The first couple of times I came back from DJX, I was like, oh my God, these people are just.
What's wrong with these people?
What who didn't love them? Who didn't hug them enough as a child? I'm wondering.
Right. Being from the Midwest, California, everybody's nice. It's like Minnesota. Everybody's nice in Minnesota. Yeah, you go over there, it's like, you're the video guy. Yeah, what do you know? You don't know nothing about it. Yeah, forget about it. Whoa, who's that? Sorry, what did I do wrong? Did I say, But they're just breaking balls, man.
Yeah.
They're going to be your best friend. And they're going to challenge you. That's the one thing they found about those guys. They like to challenge you. So tell me, how does this work? How come you say this, but you do this? And then you tell them, and they're like, okay, yeah, right. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Good people.
Yeah. But
they're so in tune with their market. They know what they're doing. They're great. They are the people we need to watch for trends and just, general professionalism.
8 o'clock here. Brian, hang on a second, would you?
Sure.
Talk amongst yourselves for just.
Go Real, yeah. Yeah, Howie, I'm from Jersey. You got a problem with that?
What do you have to?
Get out of here.
Oh yeah, then you're fine. It's 8.
Yeah.
We're in California.
Yeah, Jay knows what I'm talking about. Howie is East Coast. Howie gets it. I think he's in like Pennsylvania now or something.
Yeah, he's in that New York, New Jersey area, and Howie's the epitome of that gruff East Coast attitude. I mean, the guy's got an edge.
He's a puppy. Yeah, he's a puppy dog.
Oh come on! You should have let me tell the story a little bit longer before you.
No, but it's and I'm looking forward to it. That's the next big show.
Exactly. Yeah.
And it's not an easy show to get to for me. I got to fly to Philly. I got to take the subway to the train station. I got to get on the train and take the Amtrak train into Atlantic City.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got to figure out wherever I'm going to take a cab. Vegas, you land, you get in a cab, you're there. You're done.
Yep, it's all. Yep.
So it takes a little bit of work to get there. And once you get there, Atlantic City is not Disney. You got to kind of know where you're going, what part of town you're in, and what you can and can't do. But once the show's rolling, man, I love it. I love talking to those guys out there.
Yeah, it is. It's a great experience, and we're looking forward to being
and unique vendors too. Yeah, that's the other thing I really like about that show, because a lot of the East Coast people, anybody. I mean, you can talk about FPT, you can talk about RCF, just for an example, or anybody who specializes in turntablism things. They're East Coast based, so it's nothing for them to come to Atlantic City for a couple days. They don't need to worry about freight so much. They don't need to worry about a long flight. It's right there. They can come to town and do it.
Mm-hmm.
So for that reason, you tend to get more unique vendors. the East Coast vendors.
Yeah,
I don't see that. I don't see that at Mobile Beat.
No, because I think there's more cost. Expo, you'll have a vendor there, and they're paying premium money to get their booth. Don't get me wrong, but you'll have somebody there who's selling, customized popsicle sticks, and they're selling them at 50 cents a piece, and they're only going to sell you one or two, and they're there at that show with absolutely no way of recouping their booth cost, and you'll see that at Expo. And at Mobile Beat, if nothing else, you don't see things like that. So you get to see everything. You see the big boys,
Right.
and you get to see the little ones that are going to scratch your head and say, "Who thought that was a good idea?"
It also, Vegas is a destination. So I look forward to going because I want to warm up. It's cold here
Yeah.
in the winter and early spring. So I love going to Vegas and getting warm. But everybody's coming in from somewhere. Very few DJs are from Vegas.
Yeah.
They're coming in from LA. They're coming in from the Midwest. They're coming in from Texas or wherever they're from. Well, DJ Expo, most of them are driving in. It's a couple-hour drive for anybody out there. I mean, if you look at the population of the U.S., they say 50% of the population lives within, I think it's a 500-mile radius from Washington, D.C.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where the population is. So you get your New Yorkers, you get your people from New Jersey, you get your people from Pennsylvania, Maryland, Massachusetts. I mean, everywhere. From that regard, from that perspective, it's pretty cool. I like that.
Switching base just to our gear a little bit. Todd was talking about wireless microphones. One of the things we talked about last week, was it last week with Ben, or was it 2 weeks ago? Then we were talking about wireless receivers and such, and if being the first time, if you didn't get to see that, probably the biggest tip that Ben gave was the idea of having those antennas on the back of the receiver of the microphone, and having those basically not crossing, basically having them up at kind of a 45-degree angle, and keeping them away from as much electronics as possible, because Todd was saying he's afraid of dropouts and such with wireless mic.
Right.
A good wireless microphone, whether it's a Shure, a Sennheiser, but a better quality one, Electro Voice has some, Audio Technica, a good quality one with the microphones attached properly, and the microphone's working, which mine I can see, is it coming in on or the antenna A or antenna B. If they're working, it should work and work well, but you've got to be, just be comfortable and familiar with what is going on, because there have been times where I hooked the antennas up, but I didn't have one seated properly, and it's only picking up on antenna B, and it's like, oh, wait a second. So when I move over here where antenna B is weak, and antenna A should pick up, it's not doing it. So, oh, there we go. Now it's bouncing between the two. So the antennas would be the big thing to watch, and making sure that it's up, antennas are out, and hopefully giving you the best chance to get reception.
There you go.
There was that idea. So looking forward. Next, Midwest is they've got the dates out there. Go out to MidwestDJsLive.com. You guys can check the dates out and such. Definitely going to be something that would be on my radar, because this is my first year of going. And again, the show is good. Don't get me wrong, but my reason for going is to see people like Brian and my other friends who are there. Because for me, these shows are a family reunion. And it was really cool to be able to go and spend time with Brian, go to his house, meet his family.
And you're welcome anytime.
Yeah, that was good, and thank you.
Maybe my daughter will actually show up this time.
Yeah, well,
one of them. There's a couple of them running around here.
It was a wonderful evening, and I was bummed that
quiet, boring, rainy.
After a busy day and such, we were a little bit tired and such, but it was still an enjoyable evening.
All right. Well, I think my internet connection's unstable. I better go.
I think we're going to wrap things up before we completely lose things. So thank you guys for watching, everyone. Have yourself a great evening. We'll be back next week. Good night.